The over-concentration on theory in Ghana, especially in schools, is making the study of science less attractive, leading to a lack of interest. Now, that's been the perception for many decades, but today there is some scientific evidence to back this. A new survey conducted by the Practical Education Network, PEN, shows that making the study of science practical makes it easier and fun for both the learner and the teacher. How so? Well, let's figure it out. In the studio with us is Araba. She's a content marketer for Practical Education Network. She's here with Jacob Babb, who's a researcher for PEN. Very nice to meet you both. So let's try to understand this then. So we've always known that in Ghana there's a lot of what we call chew and pour in the way we study. But you've done this scientifically now. You've done a study which has revealed what exactly?
Yeah, so I was the researcher for this whole thing, and so what we did was we organized a year-long research study in schools, junior high schools throughout the whole of the greater Accra region. And we had 3 control schools, we had 3 experimental schools, and we tracked them over the course of the whole year. And the control schools were doing business as usual kind of things. And the experimental schools were constantly doing practicals, the PEN practicals. And so we measured the change in time, or the change in results over the course of time. And we came out with some very interesting and positive results, maybe.
Yeah, tell us, what exactly did you discover?
Some of the factors we considered, we decided to talk about the 2 main factors. That's the test results and their attitudes towards science, the test scores rather, sorry.
Okay.
So we noticed that over the course of the year, the control schools had an increase in test results because that is expected. After you've learned, of course you would produce. But then we noticed that there was a 97% increase in the experimental schools, the test scores, sorry, more than the control schools. And we realized that this is because we involve them in their own learning process. They're able to conceptualize the science topic they are teaching, actively participate in it, and then they're able to retain more information and more facts about the courses.
Wait, 97%?
Yes.
Yeah, greater increase. So the control schools, they increased their exam scores. This is a BECE based exam. So we took past questions and created a nice exam. So they increased by 14.6%. As the mean, but then so that's to be expected. But then the experimental increased almost 100% of that, 97. That's almost 29% increase over the course of the year. So it's
this also reflected in the actual BEC
results as well.
And then we collected their official BEC results. The official ones, and we also saw much of the experimental students were in these higher scoring categories, the 1, 2, 3, 4.
So it's no longer an argument. It's simple fact. If you want your children to understand science better, make it practical, right?
Sure, definitely.
Involve them in
their own learning.
Education,
I like that. All right then. So how does it work practically? How do you practicalize these theories that we were all forced to memorize?
So what Practical Education Network does is we train teachers. That's the bulk of what we do. And so we realize that in most schools in the country, there's no laboratories, there's no big fancy equipment, but we also believe that we don't need those things. Even we're based out of MIT in the US, and even at MIT, they have the fancy equipment there, but also for getting concepts down, they also used simple materials, the same ones that we promote. And so, we train the teachers how to use these low-cost, very relevant and local materials in the teaching of science. So the question is, how practically do we do it? We believe it's practically teaching the teachers how to teach practically using what's around them.
Fancy equipment to teach if you don't have them. So we teach them how to use basic materials like a balloon, a plastic bottle, to teach a subject like respiratory. So they get the idea and they're able to at least understand and participate in it.
Fascinating stuff. So do you also give children the opportunity to solve real life problems with science?
Yeah, so basically we mostly work with the teachers because we believe that the teachers are the gateway between let's say policy, curriculum, and the what results we want from the students. And so what we train our teachers to do is we tell them, hey, do these practicals, and we show them along the way. But even the teachers often, sorry to say, they've also been brought up through the system.
Yeah.
So they also don't know how to do these practicals. So the teachers, as well as the students that they eventually teach, we encourage them to just be creative and you know, in the education research world, we call it constructivist learning. You know, how to construct your own ideas rather than being them forced upon you. Yeah.
So now the experiment has yielded results. Now it's clear the proper way to teach science. What next? Are you going to seek to roll this out nationwide? What's the plan?
So part of what I've also been doing is trying to work with government officials. So we actually were invited by the National Curriculum Council in the creation of the new primary school curriculum. So they called on us to kind of in the revision process. So we've tried to infuse a lot of our thinking and practical-minded activities into the new curriculum, along with the other government people and stakeholders. So we believe that the new curriculum will be a big help, but also if the teachers are also trained. I made the argument on radio today that just because you have maybe a computer doesn't mean you know how to use the computer. You need to be able to be trained. So that we believe that teachers nationwide need to be trained. So we've been in contact with NACA, with the National Teaching Council we've worked with, and even with UNICEF and UNICEF Ghana. So yeah, we're getting there.
Well, I certainly hope you get there, because one thing that will certainly be of benefit to everybody is if kids actually enjoy what they're learning and they understand it better. Right? Well, I want to thank you both for your time with us. I certainly appreciate you both, Araba and Jacob. We appreciate it.